So what are you most afraid of? Whatever the answer to that question is, that's your purpose, your destiny, and your diakonia. What's going on, my high vibrational individual expressions of God on earth? It's your boy, Dr. Will Rogers, aka Master Teacher 33. Brothers and sisters, today we want to reveal, explain, illuminate, and simplify. We tend to spend more time in the body or in matter than we do in spirit or in wave because we don't want to address the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is your most pressing problem, and your most pressing problem is your most profitable product. And so in order for us to become profitable, we have to address the elephant in the room. And, depending on, where you are and who you talk to, what level of awareness that you are oscillating in, we don't want to address the elephant in the room. Now, remember, it's not our fault. We all went to Ebenezer Baptist when we were shearings, but we're not shearings no more. That means you're a grown man, you're a grown woman. So it's extremely important for us to understand that when we talk about spirituality, when we talk about thinking, because this laying a foundation for as a man thinking, 7 books, 21 audios that breaks down the spiritual and the energetic roots of establishing a ruling disposition. Because whatever the answer to that question is, that is the reason why you're here. That is the reason why you exist. That is the purpose for thought. So, we think about a lot of things. Every day you think about your food, you think about what you're going to wear. So, we think. Every day we ponder. We mull over. But you become what you ponder. You become what you think about. You become what you mull over. So the key to success is open understanding that you are the only person in your reality that controls your mentality. Let me say that again for the people in the back. You are the only person in your reality that controls your mentality, or you should be. You may not be, but you should be. The only person that controls the thoughts that goes all in your head. So if you change what you are thinking about, you begin to change your reality. It's just that simple. But it's also just that hard. So we choose not to think about hard issues. They say the hardest thing on earth to do is to think for oneself. That's what they say. Whoever they are, we don't know who they are. So how to become more spirit than matter? So we know that in quantum physics, all possibilities exist in the present moment. But most of our brains are anticipating the future based upon events of the past. And that is costing us our biological cash. You see, my brothers, you see, my sisters, it's extremely important that you understand that when you choose to be a particle, we have to understand that that doesn't negate the fact that you are spiritual. So the way that success works is when you choose to address the elephant in the room, you have to address the elephant in the room as a spirit. You cannot address the elephant in the room as a particle or as mass or a matter. In other words, you cannot use the same mindset that created the problem to solve the problem. So that's what the 21-day journey, that's what the 7 books that talks about mindset mastery. Your whole purpose in life is mindset mastery. That's the key to the kingdom, mindset mastery. The ability for you as an individual expression of God on earth to spend more time in the spirit realm than you do in the physical realm. How to be more spiritual than matter or physical. That's the key to the kingdom. How to be more more spiritual than physical / matter. Because when we understand that we are spirits, so since we are spirits, we have to, like the Bible says, if you walk in espiritas, if you walk in the spirit, you cannot and you will not fulfill the lust of the flesh. So your job and my job is for us to become more spiritual. We have to be more spirit than matter. And the way that we do that is by obviously living in the spirit, walking in the spirit. The scripture says, if you do that, if you walk in the spirit, you cannot and you will not fulfill. Fulfill means to bring into fruit, to manifest it in this reality. So that's the purpose of the 7 days and the 7 books in the 21 days, is to get you to a space, get you into a mental disposition where you become more spirit. And the way that you become more spirit is to become more present, to live more in the present than in the past or in the future. Now, obviously, if it was that easy, we all would be being. We all would be being it. And so it is extremely, extremely difficult for us as individual expressions of God on earth to live in the present moment. The reason why it's so difficult for us to live in the present moment is because we have problems that are in the future, or we have trauma that is in the past. The reason why it is difficult for us to live in the present moment is because we have problems that are in the future, at least they are perceived. May not be real, but they are perceived. Then we also have trauma. We have past negative habit patterns that exist in the past. And the past is controlling the present. The past is controlling the future. And so if we don't address it, if we don't learn how to reorganize everything and be able to establish the mathematical formula, because everything in your life is an exact mathematical projection of an internal frequency that restructures mass or matter. In other words, everything that's in the physical realm matches everything that's going on in the spiritual realm. So if we can adjust, if we can overstand the spirit realm, then we can adjust and we can overcome the physical realm. But most of us, we got it backwards. We deal with the physical realm instead of dealing with the spiritual realm. So we have to be more spiritual. We have to be less physical and more spiritual. And the way that we do that is through establishing a sustained, elevated emotional, let's use the word disposition. That is the only way. The only way is to establish a sustained, elevated emotional disposition. That is the only way. Let me say that again for the Negroes in the back. It's very, very, very important. The only way is to establish a sustained, elevated, emotional disposition. Period. That is the only way. The only way to address the elephant in the room is from a state where you've established. See, we can all establish, but we can't sustain it. I can go to my desire fulfilled state, but can I stay in a elevated desire fulfilled state? The only way to establish a sustained, elevated emotional state is for us to process past trauma, excuse me, and disconnect from future problems and live in that present moment. Period. That's what the next 7 days is all about, is to assist us with answering the question, which is not difficult, but it's that we don't talk about, Okay, what is the most pressing problem? And it may not even be pressing, but what are you afraid of? Come on, man. Can we keep it real? Can we be real? Can I be transparent? Can I be honest with you? Can I express, expose, and expand? Or do we want to continue to play church? So we all have it just bothers. It doesn't really bother. It's just, yeah. Like for me, what is it that irks me? What am I afraid of? I'm asking you, what are you afraid of? What am I afraid of? You know, I'm afraid of, let's use the word, putting the keys to my happiness in somebody else's pocket. I'm afraid that if I give you the keys to my happiness, you ain't gonna make me happy. I'm afraid of living or processing or being exposed or being bamboozled by a negative habit pattern knowledge because it happened to me already. But if I had to break it down to one thing, like, man, I am afraid of living in poverty. And it's interesting because it's not a conscious thing, it's not a fear, it's an awareness that's in the back of my brain. I want to make sure that I always have more bills, aka more frequencies, waves, and vibrations, money than I do have bills. I want to make sure I got more money coming in than I do coming out. So I had to solve that problem. So what did I do? So I solved the problem of being afraid of poverty by changing the etymology of the word poverty and changing the etymology of the word money or currency. So all I did was make sure that I'm in an elevated state of consciousness, and I sustain that elevated state of consciousness that creates an emotional disposition, a ruling disposition, a spiritus, a enthusiasm, a mental disposition, a spirit that's more powerful than my flesh. That's how I solved my money problems. So the elephant in the room was, man, you can lose your job. So what happened to me was what I was afraid of. Now remember, the way the universe works, which I don't know if you guys know, and I share that picture and image with everybody, is when you want to manifest something, like with King Solomon, it always gets dark. In other words, source code creates a problem to solve a problem, at least in my experience. So the greater the adversity, the closer the victory. It's wild. I can't even make this up. The greater the adversity, the closer the victory. Now I gotta say that again for the Negroes in the back, because we gotta address the elephant in the room, because that's thinking. That's what, because we're laying the foundation for the 7th book. We're laying the foundation for the 21 audio. We're laying the foundation for the Change the World tour, if you want to use that term. And it's interesting because every class I do, every series that I do, and we start this series out, and at the end of the series, nobody's life, your life don't change. It's the same shit. It keeps going on, and you got more information, but we're not addressing that negative habit pattern, that demon. So the only way to establish a sustained, elevated emotional disposition is to deal with that demon or that disposition. What does that mean, though? That just simply means that there's a challenge. There are situations, these challenges and these situations, they don't interfere with manifestation. They are manifestation. See, we don't know what manifestation is. We don't. When bad shit happens in your life, that's good. You should be happy. You should be partying. You should be shouting. When everything's going wrong and it's going dark, ooh wee, bro, you about to blow up. Unless you feed that negative habit pattern. So the current you doesn't want to die. The current version of you, the low vibrational, well, let me rephrase that. It's not low vibrational. It's just like, the 100,000 version of me don't want to give way to the $1 million version of me. Now, the $100,000 version of me serves me well. But now the $1 million version of me is here. And the old me don't want to give way to the new me. So the old me is saying, bump, you die. 100,000 is enough, bro. You don't need a meal. So the universe follows the immutable protocol. The universe has an unblemished record. The universe is undefeated, contrary to your Reverend Doctor and Bishop. The universe is undefeated, Brother Mitch. And so once you understand that the immutable protocol of the universe is that in order for there to be any external change, there must be an internal death. I can't make it up. Now I gotta let it resonate for you high vibrational, like keep it on in the back. So in order for there to be an external change, there must be an internal death. One more time. In order for there to be an external change in your life, there must be an internal death in your life. Oh, you still didn't get it? Somebody didn't get it. In order for there to be an external change, there must be an internal death. The old you got to die. Ooh-wee, won't he do it? So when I asked the question at the beginning of today's message, the question is, Negro, non-Negro, what the are you afraid of? Whatever that is, remember mine was, I got a couple of them, and I've been putting them to sleep. I've been dealing with my own trauma. That's the fear. I've been dealing with my own anxiety. That's the future. By living in the present moment, I am a vibrational engineer, homie. This is no more play. This is real deal Holyfield. This is the big boys and big girls. You got to put your drawers on, homie. You got to, go tell the wife, honey, can I get my balls back? Go ask her. Hopefully you don't get beat down. Don't be scarred. Just go on over there and say, baby, can I get my balls back, please? Hopefully she give them to you. Then you screw them back on. Screw them back on. It's okay, bro. I know. It's a little rough. It'll be all right. In order for there to be any external change in your life, there must be an internal death in your life. Now, like everything, we can't just run past that. We gotta marinate. Because that's the problem. See, the problem is we go through so much informing so fast. I'll be dropping so many nuggets that it's costing you your cash because we're not processing. That's what thinking is. Thinking is pondering. Pondering is processing. Processing is dealing with them demons and them devils in your head because they're not external, they're internal. I ain't saying that there ain't no external demons and devils, but I ain't got hey. It's like Charlie Kirk. He ain't never said nothing. Charlie Kirk never had my name in his mouth. I ain't got no problem with him, Biden, Trump, nobody, anybody, because all my problems are self-inflicted. I don't know about you. So I'm living in the real world. That is, God himself is operating through you. When you're able to get into that mental space, you're able to change the narrative or change the game. Because now you are espiritas, you are in theos. The moment you stop reading about all this stuff we talk about, and you start being all this stuff we're talking about, woo-wee, lights out, bro. You become a bad man. You become dangerous. In order for there to be external change in your life, there must be an internal death. That's just the protocol. That's the rules of the universe. So let's go back to what we said at the beginning of the show. Okay, what did we say at the beginning of the show? Okay, why are you here? I mean, not you personally, but people you know. Why are people that you know here? You could be anywhere. You could be watching Love and Hip Hop and the Basketball Wives right now. You could be watching and tuning into your favorite sports program. But if you're anything like me, you are here because I'm afraid that the current belief system that I have is causing all my problems. I know that that is true because the problem, if you want to use the word problem, the situation, if you want to use the word situation, the issue, if you want to use the word issue, Negroes just pick a word. Now, most Negroes get hung up on words. I ain't mad at you. We all went to Ebenezer Baptist, and they taught us to argue over non-issues. Like, it's interesting. The black man's problem is not the white man. The black man's problem is the black man. The black man's problem, the problem in the black community is the black community, or the lack thereof. Now, we know how we got here, but we need to figure out how to get out. How do we get out? We got to solve our own problem. That means that the white man ain't gonna bail you out. The blue man, the aliens, the Martians, Jesus, you got to figure this shit out for yourself. I mean, not you personally, black man, but people you know. So you got to use your own brain, bro. I know you don't want to hear that. We prefer a program. We prefer. That's why most blacks vote Democrat. Why? Well, I mean, I ain't mad at you. Send me a check. However, when they send you that check, they own you, bro. Ain't nobody gonna give you no money for free. I don't know what, at least what I mean. That's just been my experience. So freedom. I don't want money. Freedom, bro. Freedom to eat, drink, do what I like to do. That's freedom, though. How do I get it? I got to deal with the elephant in the room. Okay, the elephant in the room is your most pressing problem. Okay, your most pressing problem is your most dominant thought. Ooh, preacher, you preaching now. I know. The most pressing problem is your most dominant demon. That demon is whooping ass and taking names. Now, that demon that's in charge of sitting in the seat of your soul, he or she is smarter than you. At least they was until you tuned into the show. Now I'm getting ready to expose that ruling disposition. Now, the ruling disposition has been there, been running the show all your life. He, she, it ain't got no plans on going nowhere. The moment that you say you want to be blank or that you are blank, when you wake up in the morning, you listen to Negroes like me, you say, I am wealthy. That demon says, pump, you are. Then you say, I am healthy. The demon say, really? Let me give you a little touch of that COVID-19. When you say that I'm in a great relationship, that's when your girl starts saying, well, honey, I don't know. This ain't really working out for me. I ain't feeling you no more. You doing a sucky job of making me happy. Like it's your job to make her happy. But that's another study for another time, right, Brother Mitch? You know what I'm talking about. Or, I don't care what you conjure up, my brother. The moment that you conjure up a success consciousness, well, that negative habit pattern doesn't want to just give the reins over to the new life-sustaining pattern. So we got a conundrum. What is the conundrum? Well, the old you ain't trying to leave peacefully. It's like an eviction. It's like a bad relationship. Like when you break up, somebody in one party be like, no, let's work it out. You be like, no, I'm done. They say, no, let's give it one more try. Well, we tried that before. Yeah, but I didn't try it. And so you go back and forth with the old you and the new you. That's where most people are at. Most people are at the space, and that's what I'm talking about. We have to learn, how do we think when we are in the transition period? Come on, preacher. So this is transitional thought process. This is transitional thought management. This is a transitional thought protocol. Come on, bruh. This is not a new believer show. So we're talking about transitional thoughts. How to think, my brother, how to think, my sister, we're in the process of moving from 100K a year to 200 or 300 or 400 or 500. What do you do in the meantime? Because guess what happens? The moment that you decide that you want to expand your consciousness and your awareness, all hell breaks loose to get you to what? Draw back. To get you to say, because it's like you stick your hand out and you get popped on the hand and say, get back on that plantation, boy. Where you think you're going? So that's Master. Master is saying, boy, you ain't free. Even though you free, we got Jim Crow laws. We still got sundown cities, bro. I mean, you free, but, I mean, you know. And how you going to buy and sell and trade unless, you know, me and my fellas, we all, you know, we're going to Colin Kaepernick you. Now, you're in the NFL, you did something that we don't like, you took a knee and blah, blah, blah. So, you know, we got to make an example out of you. Maybe you like, you know, Shadur Sanders. You should be the number one pick in the NFL. You're a great quarterback and everything, but we're going to blackball you, boy. We got to remind you who's in charge, who signed your check, boy. You start thinking, you know how they do, Brother Jimmy. You feel me? Them good old boys that they band up together, Brother Jimmy, you know how they do, but them good old boys get together. So when them good old boys say, look, we got to teach this little nickel. He feeling himself. Who the he think he is? So you got to shrink. You better play small, bruh, or you can't play in this league. Well, that's the earth. Except the earth is punking whites, blacks, greens, blues, yellows, purples. I don't give a mother. Now, sure, that melanated folk may get pissed on the most, but everybody getting pissed on. Why? Because these ruling dispositions, they are what I call Elizabethan. They are draconian. They are lizard beings. They feed off your emotional. Now, we don't eat technically emotionalism. You know, we are empowered by the sun. The big G, the S-U-N and the S-O-N. So we like the plant. We like, you know, when the sun hit our skin and ding, power goes within. That's technically how we oscillate and vibrate. But there are some other frequencies, waves, and vibrations. They feed off your fear, bruh. They feed off your drama, sis. Thus, the current state. Everybody's amped up, and them boys it's like a all-you-can-eat buffet for them lizards, and they feeding off your adrenochrome. It's like in the movie, you know, Jupiter Ascending. So we gotta stop feeding them Dracos. Why? We need that chi for ourselves. So you go to you go to Ebenezer Baptist Sunday morning, get all emotional and feed the demons, and then you come home on Monday and you get your ass smoked. Why? You ain't got no energy to fund your own projects. You can't do no research. You can't build, you have no creativity because you gave it all to the demons, the lizards, on Sunday. With all of that worshiping and all that stuff that you do. I mean, not you personally, but, people you know. And so we got to think. Thinking, they say thinking is the hardest thing to do. That is crazy. Thinking for oneself is the hardest thing on earth to do. And it is. The hardest thing when I'm talking, everybody have a predetermined disposition. If I'm doing marriage counseling, the dude is coming in, bro, I'm a man, dog. I ain't taking no shit off nobody, man. It's my way or the highway. I grew up in church, and it says God, the man, and then the woman sit down and set up and cook and clean. That's it. That's his disposition. And he wondering why the marriage ain't working. Now you got these new age, if you want to use that term, especially melanated women, who like, I don't need a man. Anything a man can do, I can do myself. I got my own money, got my own job, I got my own car. I don't need you to leave. I can place you tomorrow. And they wonder why they ain't got a man. So those are dispositions. Those are ruling. Those are dominant thoughts. They dominating. And they exude. They send it out. They don't know. I can tell a woman as soon as she walks up, I'm like, oh shit, here we go. I can tell that I need a 2x4, a spiritual 2x4 to. Okay, this is a family show. My bad. Let me back up a little bit, Brother Mitch. I can't really say that, my brother. But we all have our own ruling dispositions, and they're not benevolent. Benevolent means it's not in your past trauma, and it's not in your future anxiety. It's in your present success. So if you live in the present, because now faith it's now. So if you live in the eternal now, you can't live in the past trauma. You can't live in the future anxiety because you don't know what's going on in the future, so you scarred. Not you personally, but you can't live in the past because in the past the devil used to whoop your ass. Okay, you can't live back there because if you go back there, guess what's back there? Negative habit patterns. If you go in the future, you got anxiety patterns. So if you live right now, okay, what's going on right now? What greater is he that's in me than he that's in the world? I'm feeling pretty good right now. So now I got to do what? Elevate it. I got to elevate that. I got to sustain this elevated state of consciousness. So when I get into this state that I'm in when I do these shows, so if you know when I'm doing my shows, I'm pretty animated. I mean, I'm not I'm not no boring preacher. You fall asleep on me, boy, check your pulse. You might be like flatlined. Because I keep it real. So what's the point? Well, you can see, my brothers and sisters, that I'm in my zone. So this is my subject matter expert. I'm a subject matter expert. This is my calling, my destiny, my DIAKONIA, to do what? To express, expose, and expand. To find and fulfill. I love replacing Ebenezer Baptist with a higher level of awareness that says, when you've seen me, you've seen the Father. Me and the Father are one. Now I know for you good old boys and some of y'all, country folk, that's a little rough. Understand? But your job and my job is to understand. You are God in a body. You are a particularization of God. Because remember, when you're in the spirit realm, that's the wave, unlimited. You decide to focus on something, so you collapse. That's the matter, that's the particle, that's the physical realm, that's limited. So you chose, my brother, I did. I chose to drop down into this version of myself, or of myself. Tomorrow, because I've been many different versions before, Brother Mitch. I could, back in the day, I was a photographer. Before that, I was in law enforcement. Before that, I was in corrections. Before that, I was a personal trainer. Before that, I was in insurance. How much time y'all got? I can keep going. Had 68 jobs, Brother Jimmy. 68, bro. And let me make sure that you under, and understand that each and every person on this call, you've done the same thing I did. You just probably unknowingly collapsed from an unlimited wave into a limited particle. You can go back to being an unlimited wave anytime you choose by simply renouncing your current identity and selecting a new identity. I choose to self-identify as a fireman, as an accountant, as a roofer, as a singer. And when you choose to self-identify, the old identity refuses to die. So every forced installation of the new identity results in magnification. Every forced installation of the new identity results in electrical magnetic amplification. But the new identity that will, if it is sustained and elevated, create a new reality. Your new desired reality is the result of a forced, elevated, sustained mentality. So forced, in other words, for force that's more benevolent, most of us are not consciously selecting the new identity. I'm consciously selecting the new identity. Millionaire, liquid. Everything else is good. I'm still a master teacher. I'm still a father. Still a husband. All the other hats that I'm wearing, the only identity that is changing is the currency. So I have to see that the current frequency is too slow. So I'm increasing what I'm frequently seeing. So I'm frequently seeing what we call money. For me, money is an elevated state of consciousness or confidence. So I have to increase my level of confidence. So I'm showing up in the marketplace with something called certainty and assurance. That certainty and assurance is magnetic because everybody else is uncertain and they're unsure. They got a hope. They got a wish. They don't know. With 1,000%, I wish a Negro would disposition. Death or destiny. No options, or one option. No safety net. It's like in that the last Batman when Batman got spanked and Bane broke his back and threw him in that hole. And only one other person got out of that hole. And the only way to get out is with no safety net. Risk, bruh. But it's not a risk when the shit is calculated and it's planned out and you've dotted your I's and you cross your T's. You in a risk now. You know. Everybody else is pondering. So that's where we're going. We're going to a state where you are in a place where you know that you and the Father are one. Where you know all things work together for your good. When you know you've been young and now you've old. You've never seen his righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. You know. You don't wish. You don't hope. You don't ponder. You ain't one of them. So you coming to the market with something that is 1,000% guaranteed. So when you speak as one having authority. No, you ain't no weak, lowly, humble. Now I lay me down to sleep. I hope. Nah, bro. We're not doing that. You coming out there with boldness and with power because you're excited because you know that you got everybody's solution. If you're Jimi Hendrix and you take the stage, you Carlos Santana and you take the stage, are you serious? And it's a guitar playing contest, are you nervous? Do you think, oh man, I don't know what's going on? Like, ding, ding. You Carlos Mother Santana. You Jimmy, are you serious? Man, you finna set them guitar strings on fire. You gotta, come on, where my competition at? I ain't got no competition. It's just me against me. That's what they're trying. That's what's going on with Shadur Sanders. And I love his humbleness, but he's a little too humble for me, but I get it. Because he knows if he comes, what got him in that situation is his confidence. Because the dominant culture, they see that confidence as a threat. The white man does not like a confident Negro. No, sir. Boy, you work for me, boy. Don't fucking get it twisted. So I understand what he's the game. He got to play like he's not confident till he gets the starting job. Then he's going to be like, yeah. I mean, I ain't mad at him. Play the game. I was saying the rules of the game. The same thing life. Life is no different than football. Any sport. That's why I like sports. I like sports because you have to go on the court. But at the end of the game, at the end of the day, if they want to win, guess what? Like Dallas trading the Parsons guy. What? Jerry Jones, Eagles, they get to play Green Bay a couple of weeks. Ooh, that's going to be good. You don't have my popcorn ready. Why? Michael Parsons, I already know. He going to come out like a ravenous wolf. That fool is going to be unblockable. At least I know if it was me. What? I'm playing against my old team. Now, no disrespect to my old teammates. I love you, bro, but this is personal, dog. This is personal. It's almost as if, Jerry, get your ass down here on the field, bro. So I can walk through you like a hot knife through butter. But Jerry's up in the press box. He lucky. See, the only way for you to win is to go within. It must be a mathematical position that is projection or projected. That means that you have to establish a sustained, elevated emotional disposition that is so powerful and so confident because it's inside of your own innate attributes and characteristics. That's why this shit is personal. It is individual. No two people are the same. So what works for you ain't gonna work for me. What works for you ain't gonna work for your brother or your sister because it's like your fingerprint. That's why this course and everything I do is so powerful because what we're talking about is in the realm of quantum physics, in the realm of biomolecular, in the realm of understanding wide body area networks and electronics. All possibilities exist in the present moment. But most people's brains are anticipating the future based upon the past. And so you're not in the present. So the only way to be successful, it requires you to live in the present. But it's almost impossible to live in the present because we got a bill that's coming up, or we got trauma that happened in the past. So the whole point of this class is to train, is to teach, and to break it down. How do we live in the present? Well, we've got to understand universal spiritual law. What is it? Control of the frequency is the control of your reality. Controlling your frequency is controlling your reality. Frequency is your emotional state. Mental magic, bruh. So you must become the mental equivalent of the things that you wish to manifest. So you have to be a mental millionaire before you can be a physical millionaire. Come on, preacher. So that's what we got to break down. We got to break down because you don't know. You think you know, not you personally, but you know. You don't know that you are God eternal within the body. Ooh-wee, I hate, boy. You are God operating in human form. OMG. Man, I better stop. I'm giving y'all too many nuggets. If I keep dropping all of these nuggets, man, there's no reason for y'all to join the class. I can't give it all to you. You have to understand that, hey, 2,000 years of conventional religious interpretation has bamboozled the average Alkebulan to the point that he or she believes that they are a worthless sinner, that they are well done. I used to believe it. Not only did I believe it, but Jibide, I used to teach it. Crazy, right? I used to walk around teaching folk that, boy, you well done, you're worthless. Then I wonder why Negroes could not pay their light bill on time. If you well done, if you worthless, you can't even fight your way out of a wet paper bag. So why does it say in the Bible that, do you not know that ye are gods? Why is that? I mean, why do they put that in there? That's just in there for shizness and giggles, Brother Mitch? Brother George, why they put that in there, Brother George? Brother George, you're a very learned man. Help a brother out, Brother George. Why they put that in the book, my brother? I mean, I'm asking for a friend. And then they tell us that the kingdom of God is out yonder somewhere. We gotta go find it, brother. Miss the kingdom of, even though the Bible says that the kingdom is within. I ain't heard a preacher preach that other than Dr. Miles Monroe. Thankfully, I got exposed to, some real foundational teachings. And one of the things that I loved about Dr. Miles Monroe is that even though he was in it, he always made sure, like me, he reminded people every time I heard him speak, I ain't a Christian. And he used to say it boldly, and everybody used to say that. I used to wonder, well, Negro, if you ain't a Christian, why are you up in these churches? And then as he would say during the message, I'm here to get y'all Negroes to expand your consciousness and stop teaching this this watered down. So we need meat. Well, some of us. Now, some folk are too old, teeth rotten out. They can't chew on that spiritual meat. Okay, they need some milk. Then some folk too young. So they ain't got no teeth yet, so, okay, they need milk. But I'm talking to those folks in the middle that got teeth, which teeth means creative power. Teeth means imagination. Do you know that your imagination is more powerful than your knowledge? Let me say it again for the Negroes in the back. Your imagination is more powerful, my brother. Your imagination is more powerful, my sister, than your knowledge and your degree. I got some degrees, I got some knowledge too. But my imagination, because that is God eternal within the body. So I can imagine what? See, God wishes to do exceedingly abundantly above anything that you can imagine. Come on, preacher. That's what it says. He wishes to do exceedingly abundantly above anything that you can ask or think. So my brothers and my sisters, in conclusion, these next 7 days, next 21 days, these 7 books, and each book, we're going to go through it in 3 days. So it gives us a total of 21, because, it takes about 21 days to rewrite your current habit pattern into a new one. So we're going to go through this step by step by step, and we're going to blow some cookies. We're going to destroy some low-hanging fruit. We're going to take you from thought to action. We're going to break down how do we go from thoughts. Everybody's been thoughts, feelings. But we got to align the thoughts and the feelings with daily behavior that are based upon those empowering thoughts. Daily action, my brother. Daily action. We have to channel the transformed mindset into consistent action that leads to high performance and positive fruit or results. I don't know about you, but all of this talking and feeling is great. But all I know is when that light bill is due, you can't pay it with talking and feelings. You need fruit, bruh. You need fruit, sis. And in this changing economy, you have to be able to leverage your willpower wisely. You have to be able to maintain your momentum spiritually. You have to leverage your willpower wisely. And you have to maintain your momentum spiritually. Oh, look at that. Till $2.99. We start on Friday. Let's see. We probably do one more day at the $2.99, and then we could take it on up to the $4.99. Get in where you fit in. I love you, and you can do about it. We see you mañana. God bless.